Chapter 3, Ash and Riverstone. Dawn came to Ashwood as pale light and cold rain. Mist moved between the trees like breath, and the rebel camp was already awake. Horses were saddled in silence. Grain sacks were loaded 2 at a time. Scouts returned in wet cloaks, shaking water from their bows. Rowan stood over a map pinned beneath a dagger on the supply table. Riverstead. Hollowmere. The eastern bridge Elira had marked in charcoal the night before. Bram ducked under the shelter flap, carrying 2 canteens. Your royal weather forecast was accurate. Miserable with a chance of dying. That is not a forecast, Rowan said. That is your personality. Bram grinned and looked toward the north shelter. She awake? Before Rowan could answer, Elira stepped out from between the tents with a rebel cloak thrown over her shoulders. Her hood was down. Rain had darkened loose strands of hair around her face. 2 guards followed at a polite distance. Not close enough to insult. Close enough to remind. Elira stopped at the map table. You said we ride to Riverstead. We do, Rowan said. Then stop looking at me like I might bolt for the capital. I am not worried about you bolting. No. I am worried about who notices you if you do. That landed. So did the way his eyes lingered 1 second too long before he looked back at the map. Rowan rolled the map. You ride with me. Bram takes rear watch. Bram made a wounded face. Excellent. Chaperone duty in the rain. My legend grows. They rode out as the first gray edge of morning opened over the ridgeline. The path to Riverstead cut through low fog and dripping pines. Elira kept pace at Rowan's side, steady in the saddle despite the mud and narrow turns, close enough that their stirrups nearly touched on the narrowest bends. After an hour, Rowan spoke without looking at her. You have ridden this hard before. Not often, she said. But enough not to fall and embarrass myself. You hide effort well. A small smile touched her mouth. I was raised in a court. Hiding effort is half the curriculum. He glanced at her then, brief and assessing, his gaze slipping from her eyes to her mouth and back so fast it might have been accidental. And the other half? Pretending to agree with men who mistake loudness for wisdom. That drew a low laugh from him. The sound surprised them both. They rode in silence for a stretch, rain tapping their cloaks. By midday, the forest thinned and the land opened into fields scarred by poor harvest. Riverstead appeared beyond a line of bare trees, crooked roofs, sagging fences, smoke from too few chimneys. Children watched from doorways as the rebels entered. No cheers. Not yet. Just guarded eyes that had learned disappointment too well. Bram called out, food convoy from Ashwood. Keep order and everyone eats. That changed the air. People emerged from houses and barns. Elders. Mothers with empty baskets. Men with shoulders bent by work and hunger. Rowan dismounted and started directing the unload. 1 sack per household first, he said. Then we count what remains. No pushing. Elira stood beside the wagon, watching as a girl no older than 10 hugged a sack of grain like treasure. An old woman reached for Elira's hand by mistake, then froze when she saw the unfamiliar face beneath the hood. Sorry, the woman said quickly. Elira swallowed. You don't need to apologize. The woman nodded toward Rowan. Tell your captain thank you. He keeps us alive. Elira looked at Rowan across the crowd. Alive. A word the palace used in speeches, never in inventories. A shout broke through the line. Riders. Everyone turned. A boy sprinted from the south road, breathless, mud to his knees. Royal Patrol. 10, maybe 12. They'll be here in minutes. Panic rippled through the square. Rowan was moving before the echo died. Bram, pull villagers into cover behind the mill wall. Tomas, take 3 archers to the roof. No one fires unless they cross the well. Elira stared. You know their patrol patterns this closely? I know how long fear takes to ride from one village to the next, Rowan said. He looked at her. Stay behind the wagon. No. Elira dash. If they see me hide while others stand, I have learned nothing. For a beat, Rowan held her gaze. Rain tracked down both their faces, beating at the edge of her lower lip. Then stay where I can see you, he said. The words came out rougher than command, like he was arguing with himself as much as with her. She nodded once. The patrol arrived hard and fast, red cloaks snapping, horses foaming at the bit. Their captain reined in near the well. By order of King Alric, this grain is seized for crown use, he shouted. A hollow laugh came from somewhere behind Rowan. The captain's eyes narrowed as he recognized him. Ashford. You always travel with theft warrants now? Rowan asked. Efficient. Stand aside. No. Steel hissed from scabbards. The village held its breath. Then the captain's gaze shifted and fixed on Elira. Even hooded, she sat too straight, too still. Recognition flickered. He started to point. You dash. Rowan moved first. He stepped between them and knocked the captain's blade wide as the man lunged. Horses reared. 2 soldiers charged. Arrows struck dirt at their feet, forcing them back. Bram shouted from the mill roof, next arrows won't miss. The captain recovered, furious. You are protecting a spy now, outlaw. Rowan's jaw tightened. I am protecting my people. The fight was short and brutal. No killing, just speed and precision. Rowan disarmed one rider. Bram dragged another from the saddle. Tomas and the archers cut off retreat angles until the patrol realized they were boxed in. The captain spat blood into the mud. This isn't over. It never is, Rowan said. He kicked the captain's sword out of reach and stepped back. Ride. The patrol withdrew in a storm of hooves and threats. Silence fell, broken only by rain and ragged breathing. Then, from near the wagons, someone started clapping. One pair of hands. Then more. The sound spread through Riverstead until it became thunder under the rain. Rowan looked irritated by it. Embarrassed, almost. He waved people back to the grain line. Eat first, he said. Celebrate later. Elira watched him move through the crowd, checking wounds, lifting sacks, listening when elders spoke. No crown. No banner. And yet everyone made space when he passed. When the final households were supplied, dusk was already pooling under the eaves. The rebels prepared to ride. Elira tightened her horse's straps with cold fingers. Rowan stepped beside her and took the leather from her hands. Too loose, he said quietly. You'll slip a buckle on the ridge path. His fingers brushed hers as he retied the knot, then closed around her wrist for a brief, steadying second. A brief contact. Warm despite the rain. Elira felt it like a spark under wet cloth, sudden and impossible to ignore. Rowan seemed to feel it too. He did not step back right away, his thumb shifting once against her pulse before he let go. You did well today, he said. I stood where you told me and did not panic. Most people panic the first time soldiers charge them. She met his eyes. I was not most people before I came here. And now? She breathed in, tasting rain and smoke. Now I am trying to become someone I can respect. Something shifted in his expression. Not softness. Something more dangerous. Recognition and restraint held on a tight leash. Bram's voice cut through from 10 paces away. If this is a meaningful stare, kindly complete it on horseback. Night patrols are not getting friendlier. Elira looked away first, but a reluctant smile slipped through. Rowan shook his head. Mount up. They left Riverstead under a dark sky, moving in 2 columns back toward Ashwood. At the first fork, Rowan signaled a halt and rode back to Elira's side. Tomorrow, he said, we plan the bridge convoy you warned us about. You believe me now? I believe what I saw, he said. You stood your ground when it cost you. He paused. That matters. Elira held his gaze in the moon-thin dark. And if I fail your test tomorrow? Then I send you home, he said, but neither of them sounded convinced. And if I don't? Rowan's mouth curved, just slightly. Then this gets complicated, he said, voice low enough that it felt less like an answer and more like a warning. Before she could answer, he turned his horse and rode ahead, cloak dissolving into shadow. Elira watched him go until the forest swallowed him, already replaying the brief pressure of his hand on her wrist. Rain began again, light as breath. Around her, the rebels moved like ghosts between trees. Ahead waited the bridge convoy, the king's anger, and a road that offered no safe return. For the first time in her life, that did not frighten her. It thrilled her.